Hey YouTube, Spirit Smoker here today. Out in the beautiful woods with my dog going nuts. He's just barreling around like crazy. We got the rips. Out here with her, with my dog and my girl again. Enjoying my day off. Later on today I'll be in Hartford for the Pipe Club, I think. As long as parking isn't a pain in the ass again. Today, smoking some of my own blend. It's just a camping blend that I put together. I've been smoking it for a little while now. I think I did in my last video too. I added a little bit of cherry tobacco to it though this time. Just some cheap Captain Black stuff. Nothing spectacular. But yeah, really good overall flavor. Nice for outdoors. Put a pipe screen on today because it's very windy, and I apologize if that is affecting the audio. You also might hear the waterfall or the river behind me. It's quite fast moving. And I'm smoking that in a Moonshine Pipes poker. I think this is the, I can't remember what, I have no idea what line this is of his, but anyway, it's a poker. It's a nice pipe. I've had better. The balance on it's not fantastic, but it is what it is. He's got his little logo there that probably won't come out because of the lighting. I can't really fix that. Sorry about that. Just wanted to take some time today and I suppose share a quick story. It's kind of what I'm feeling today. I like to touch on how important it is to sort of talk with our elders before they become our ancestors. I have had the great fortune in my life to know two of my great grandmothers, both on my mom's side, and both wonderful women. Incredible stories for the both of them. One came from money, the other did not. But I was reminded of this a little while ago. My girlfriend and I decided to play cards, and we decided to play King's Corner, which is a very old game. And it just brought back all these memories, because both of them used to play it. But one of my great-grandmothers, her name was Delphine, but she liked to be called Del. Now, Del essentially raised me every Saturday from the time I was pooping my britches all the way up to when I was about 11 years old or so. Every Saturday when my mom had to work and there was no school, we'd go over and we'd hang out with Del. And she was a wonderful, wonderful lady, like I said. I learned a lot from her. We always had our routine for the day. It was a lot of fun. And as I got older, we ended up having to put her in a sort of an assisted living home, although she was extremely independent. It wasn't any kind of like Alzheimer's home or anything like that. She was incredibly sharp when it came to things like that. Quite amazing, actually. But I remember talking to her one day, my ex-girlfriend, my ex-ex-girlfriend, I should say, the good one of the two exes, or of those two exes. She and I would go and visit Del from time to time. And I remember asking her how her and my great-grandfather met. It was kind of a neat story. Her father had a car, which was kind of an interesting and I wouldn't say a bizarre thing, because you know, some people did, but where they lived, not a lot of people even had cars at the time. And I guess every weekend or Friday night during the summertime, there would be these dances in the center of town at a gazebo, and they would, you know, all the kids would kind of go to the gazebo and they would dance. They would play good music and stuff like that. And Dell's dad, my great grandfather, would bring her and her friends to go to these dances. Well, I guess one day she saw my great grandfather, Amerigo. There's an old name for you. So they called him Mac. And she saw Mac dancing in this gazebo and thought, ooh, I like how he dances, she said. So she asked him to dance. She asked him. And immediately they just started dancing together, and they said they didn't stop until their feet were sore. These dances apparently would get out at like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. At which time her dad, Dell's dad, my great-great-grandfather, would come by with his car and pick them up and bring everyone home. Well, of those friends. So that's how they met. They met dancing at a social gathering. Just in town, just a thing that the townspeople would do, nothing sorted by the school or anything like that. It was kind of neat. And I remember her telling me that story. Sorry about the wind. But I remember her telling me that story and how thankful I was to be able just to hear it, because I always, getting those little pieces of my own history as to how exactly did I get here, is very interesting. That line of my family is actually very interesting. That line, I'm trying to remember the guy's name off the top of my head, and right now I can't. But that side of my family actually goes all the way back in history to the man who was in the Old North Church, who put up the lanterns during Paul Revere's ride. So one if by land, two if by sea. And I'm trying to remember what his name is right now, and I cannot remember it. I'm drawing a blank. If you remember it, put it in the comments, and if I remember it, I'll try to annotate it later. But pretty interesting. So, I mean, you know, it's only by talking to our family and by conversing with people, by really sitting down and asking questions, that I think have gone sort of by the wayside. We don't care to learn these things anymore, and it's disappointing. And I mean, again, if you have the opportunity to spend as much time, my dog, spend as much time with your elders as you possibly can and just learn from them. Again, even if it's just simple questions. I remember back when I had a flip phone, that's when I was going to see Grammy Dell, since she's passed since. She made it to 95. She made it pretty old. And I remember one time I took a picture of her with my camera phone, and she was just stunned that I could do that. She remembers sitting in a tub with a bunch of friends, not filled bathtub or anything like that. They literally would sit in the bathtub because there was better acoustics, and they would listen to not the old record players, but even before that, I'm trying to remember what they're called. The old ones that you'd have to crank with the big horn. and one of her friends had that. And so they would all go over to the house, the kids would go over to that house, and they would sit in the bathtub for the acoustics, and they would play songs from that. Because it was such a novel thing. She remembered being in school and hearing that the Germans were coming, and that they were gonna, someone had said that the Germans were coming to kill everyone's parents. That was World War I. Amazing, amazing history. So I just wanted to share some of that with you guys, just to kind of get any conversation going. If you guys have any neat stories like that, or if you have an interesting family history, make a video response or post a comment. I'm happy to hear that kind of thing. I love it. So until next time, guys, thanks for joining me, and stay smoky.